Welcome to the Empower L podcast. I'm your host, Vero, and I'm so excited to have you join me on this journey of empowerment and growth. This podcast is designed for ambitious, high-achieving women who are ready to break free from overwhelm and step into their power. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and hear from experts who can help you navigate the challenges of balancing ambition and well-being. Whether you're looking to cultivate confidence, transform your mindset, enhance your leadership skills, or find harmony in your life, this is the place for you. Let's dive in. And welcome to the Empower L podcast. I'm so glad that you're here today to learn about something that could shift the way you lead and live. Today's conversation is really exciting because I am joined by a guest, Denika Madeline. Denika is a single mom of two boys who has rebuilt her life after leaving an abusive relationship. And today, she's focused on healing, on learning how to regulate her nervous system, on creating safety within herself again, and navigating the realities of single motherhood while managing ADHD and raising a child with autism. It sounds exhausting just talking about it. And what I appreciate about Denika is her willingness to share her journey honestly. Through her experiences, she's really helping other women feel less alone and showing what's possible when you choose yourself, even after some of life's most difficult challenges. So we're going to talk about rebuilding your identity after abuse, healing from survival mode, navigating motherhood with ADHD, and learning to trust yourself and others after trauma. So Denika, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
No, you're welcome. So for those of us that who may be meeting you for the first time, like me, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what life looks like for you right now?
Yeah. So I am a single mom. I have two boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. I had them young enough, not super young, but I was 21 and 23 when I had them. I was very young and naive, like, stuff happens. But I then was in an abusive relationship with their dad. It didn't end that well, and I've kind of just been rebuilding my life ever since, trying to, navigate life as a single mom and trying to figure out how that looks for me. And I've finally kind of gotten to a really good place in my life where I finally feel like everything's kind of coming together. The light at the end of the tunnel is kind of brighter, and it feels like things are finally, like, my body can kind of be calm, and my nervous system is, I'm trying to relearn how to calm my nervous system and all those things. And yeah, ADHD, I've raging ADHD. So that makes things a lot more difficult. I was diagnosed after I had kids, as a lot of women are. A lot of women, it manifests a lot differently in girls. So a lot of women don't get diagnosed until after they do have kids, because that's when kind of you get your old coping mechanisms that you don't realize that our coping mechanisms don't work anymore, because you have, when you're alone and don't have children, you have a lot more time to, recoup and, be by yourself and all those things. And you can do the things that make you feel good when you have a child who is always needing your attention and in your space. I'm very much like someone who needs, like, silence to kind of recuperate. And when you have a child who is, obviously, kids are not the quietest, like, they're always, they want love and attention as much, and I love that, but it definitely brought up some things in me where I'm like, okay, like, I need to there's something up, like, it's not normal for me to get this overwhelmed just by, like, sounds or stuff like that. And then obviously my son recently has been diagnosed with autism, but he's very sensory seeking. and I'm very sensory avoidant. So that definitely made it so that I was like, okay, there's something up. So, but we've gotten him diagnosed, and I'm finally able to get some help with the schools and stuff like that. So life right now is just kind of work and daycare and school and kids, but it's good, and we're finally like in a stable, safe home. So it's been hard but good.
Good. I mean, it's amazing to hear, first of all, that you were able to get out of that relationship and finally feel like you're in a place where things are calmer and stable. I find it really interesting that like your kid is like looks for sensory and you're sensory avoidant. Like that must be really interesting to deal with and like to find ways to kind of satisfy both of you, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm
for
guessing that just the diagnostics probably help in at least understanding both of you and what you can do to help yourself. But tell me a little bit about that. Like, how do you kind of satisfy both of those needs that are so opposite?
It's definitely a balancing act, and I'm not perfect at it. I still struggle with it a lot, but it's getting better as he gets older, and I'm able to have actual conversations with him, and he's able to kind of understand more. And now, and like with me too, I've gotten, now that my nervous system isn't always like triggered, or I'm not on, my environment isn't as chaotic, it's definitely a lot easier for me to kind of regulate. I definitely like, we do a lot of like, okay, we need to just like, we have some quiet time, let's do something. He loves like to ask why about everything. He loves to like know how everything works, which I love, but it can definitely be a lot when the questions don't end. And as a single mom, I'm working, I wake up, we do, lunches, we get ready for school, we do school. I'm at work from, 9 to 5, come home, dinner, baths, homework, bed. So it's like a lot all the time. So we're definitely like, we're learning as we go, but sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
No,
What was I
it's
gonna
all good.
say?
You answered it. Like it's such a learning process, right? Like
It
it's
is,
I'm sure it's trial and error, and you see what works and what doesn't, and
for sure.
just go from
Yeah.
there.
And now with the diagnostic, it does make it easier now that we have his school is able to provide resources.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of improvements this year, especially. Um, but yeah, when he was little and we didn't kind of like, I always suspected, I didn't know for sure, but I always kind of thought, and it's a very long process, especially in Canada, to get a diagnosis with how long, like especially in New Brunswick, the medical system is
Okay.
under a lot of stress, and it took from like the
Yeah.
time we got referred to the time where he got diagnosed was like through 4 years pretty much of like just
Wow.
waiting to get in with pediatricians and stuff like that. And so because he's high functioning, he was too high functioning for school to provide him resources without a formal diagnosis. So with the formal diagnosis, it helps a lot for sure. It sucks that it's that hard to get that diagnosis around here and that it takes
Yeah.
that long, but it's worth it, I find. So it's, we're learning together. We're not perfect. I do get overwhelmed. I get frustrated, as does he. But I think with the most important thing with kids is just to know that like I apologize to my kids all the time. I think that's important that they see that,
Yeah.
hey, like mom isn't perfect. I definitely have had times where I've lost my patience and I've gotten overstimulated, overwhelmed, and there's so much to do and I don't even know where to start. And I just, once it passes, I apologize, say, hey, like, it wasn't okay for mom to, get frustrated with you or anything like that. And it's not your fault, but it's just, mom's not perfect either. And I think, kids don't need perfect parents. They need parents that care enough to apologize. And I think that teaches them that it's okay to make mistakes and you're not less than just because you do make a mistake, you know?
Absolutely. I love that so much. Like you said, no one's perfect and like they're gonna make mistakes too. And I think them seeing that you're able to acknowledge when you make mistakes and apologize, they're gonna learn to do the same, which just creates good
Exactly.
humans.
Which is what
You
I
know?
want. No one is perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to, like,
No.
everyone has bad days. Everyone has
Absolutely.
things going on in their lives that create stress. And as long as that, if you know that you did something wrong and you take ownership of that and you apologize for it and you try to do better next time, that's all you can really do. Like teaching
Yeah.
kids to, you have to be this way, and if like you're bad if you don't do everything perfectly,
Yeah.
that's not good either. Like you want them to
Oh,
know that they're still loved even if they, do something wrong or make a mistake.
absolutely. Absolutely. When you think of like the woman you are today, what are you most proud of?
I am proud of the fact that I didn't, because like for a long time I thought that I made this decision. I chose, say, this man, their father, and I have to see it through. I was kind of, and like I love my parents, are wonderful and amazing people. But they've been together since my mom was 18. They're still so in love, which is amazing. But for them, it's always been like, you stick with the people you love even through hard times. And I think I took that very literally and let
Yeah.
myself be treated really badly. Even like, it's okay to give people grace and to give people second chances. I'm all about second chances. God knows, like I want people to give me grace when I know that I don't, I make a mistake or I do something wrong. But treating other people so poorly where you just disregard their entire well-being, and like that is just not okay. And I'm proud of the fact, like it took a lot longer than I wished that it did, but I heard, I think it was a few days ago on a different podcast, that someone said it's like things, like for you to actually change, things have to get so bad that it's more uncomfortable to stay than it is to change, because it is scary. It is
Yeah.
terrifying to like know, because like I didn't go into this wanting to be a single parent. I didn't think I was going to be a single
Oh.
parent. And like even when we did break up, like the intention wasn't to be a single parent. It was like, hey, let's try to just co-parent. Like we can be friends, we can do this for the kids. If one party doesn't want, though, like he wasn't up for that. Like it was my way or the highway, and kind of burn it to the ground if it's not what I want. So it's just like I had no other choice. And it was really scary to think of like, okay, everything is going to be on me now. Like and when they were little, like I was basically a stay-at-home mom. I would serve, like I was a waitress and a bartender. I worked weekends and evenings, so I didn't have a job that worked with daycare. They weren't in a daycare, so knowing that I would have to we had to sell my house and move out and find a job that coincided with daycare, get them into a daycare, which wait lists are really long around here. Like
Yeah.
kind of building all that, just knowing like not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and knowing it's going to be a really long road is really, really scary. So I'm proud of the fact that I actually made that decision for myself and did it even though it was scary. 'Cause it
You
was.
should be proud of that. That is such a big thing. And you see so many women, like you said, like stay because it's what you know. And even if it's not good and it's abusive, it's kind of comfortable. Like you know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen. And
Yeah.
it's often less scary than the unknown,
Yep.
right?
And when you're with someone who makes you feel so small for such a long time and makes you feel like
Yeah.
that's what you deserve, it's like,
Yeah.
well, this is all my fault, right? Like I'm the one that's causing this chaos because of how I'm reacting to it's reactive abuse. Like I'm not going to say I was a perfect partner. I wasn't. I definitely have done things I'm not proud of, but like at the same time, reactive abuse is a thing, and to have someone make you feel so small and like you don't a lot of relationships like that, because it's not like I'm not going to sit here and say like I was being punched in the face every day. Like I wasn't. It definitely did escalate. It did get to a point where it was not okay, but it doesn't start like that. It starts with small
No.
things that make you feel small and make you feel like it's like a frog in a boiling pot. If you put them in a cold water and you slowly turn up the temperature, they'll stay
Yeah.
in it, until it's boiling.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't realize what's happening until you're in the thick of it. And then you're like, oh no, you're so deep into it, it doesn't feel possible to get out.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like you
a
have no
scary.
power.
No, it feels like you have no power at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what inspired you to want to share your story?
I just, so when I was going through everything and trying to, because there's been a lot of, I think this is it, I think this is the light, and, another thing happens, and another thing happens, and it's been a process. It's been about 4 years now since the
Okay.
beginning, like that, when I left. And it's been a lot of hard work, and I was, there's a lot of points like, I had to get a better job, and now I do have one, but there's a lot of points I didn't have health insurance. I wasn't able to get therapy or to speak with anyone, and my therapy was listening to podcasts, and that's kind of how I was able to kind of, build myself back up and understand how trauma works, how your nervous system works, how, and hearing other women's stories of being successful and leaving and how their lives are so much better for it. Just like I listened to a lot of podcasts, and that was my therapy. And a lot of them were super helpful, but at the same time, I don't feel like there's a ton of women out there who are, like, there's a lot of single moms and stuff, and it's having kids even with a partner is the hardest thing you can do. So I don't discount, like, it is difficult no matter what situation you're in, even in the best situation. But even like a lot of single moms, a lot of them do have, they're single moms, but like they do have a co-parent. So they have, say, even if it's like a couple weekends a week or whatever, there's another parent involved in some way, even if it's not, super friendly. But it felt really lonely knowing that, like, I have no other parent at all involved. Like, it's just me. There's no break. There's no, there's no other person to bounce back and forth ideas, or like even their health, like the whole autism diagnosis, like every decision for their life has been on me. Everything has been on me. And I just feel like there's not a ton of women out there who are actively, there's a lot of women that are in that situation, but there wasn't a ton in that podcast space that I could hear that I felt like I related to that much in that way. Like a lot of other things, yes, but being like a fully single mom and like really in the thick of it, where like you have no other option. And my parents help as much as they can, but they also do live a little bit further away. They work full time. They have lives too. So like the brunt of it is just me. So it's just like, I feel like making other women feel like it's possible and like a little less alone. And like those podcasts really did help me feel less alone. And even like women who have escaped abusive relationships, I'm just like, okay, like I'm not bad. It's not my fault that, because I felt a lot of shame about it for a long time, and I felt ashamed. I never thought I was the type, and that's stupid now, but I never thought I was the type of person that would let someone treat me that way. And it was embarrassing, and I felt shame about the fact that I let someone treat me that bad, and especially with kids involved. Like, that's never what I wanted. So I've spent a lot of years just kind of with my head down, just kind of building and just trying to focus on the light. And I just feel like I'm at a good place now in my life, and I feel like if I can make even one person feel like it's possible, or they feel a little less alone, then it's worth it to share. I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. I love just that, you feel like you're just really helping someone, kind of something click or something. Like in my personal life, I love just talking to people and connecting and helping them in some way. So I just feel like if it can help someone, then it's worth it.
Yeah, well, it will. I can tell you right now, I know that sharing your story is gonna like help so many women out there. So, I mean, thank you for just being willing to share it. My goodness. I feel like I like forget that I have to ask you questions. I'm like just hearing you.
I feel like I'm rambling. I tend to talk a lot, so cut me off whenever you need to.
Not at all. I'm like so just like, invested in what you have to say.
Well, thank you.
You talked about it a little bit, but what were some of the biggest challenge that you faced when leaving and then starting over again?
Yeah, so just leaving itself, we had a home, and he was somewhat of he was a hoarder. So that was just that first roadblock. And at that point, so like leaving was not an easy thing. Like he basically I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm not leaving this house. And it escalated to a point, like we were living in a very rural area. He was cutting me off from any communication, that like he would cut off our internet, and we had no service out there. He would like steal my IDs and steal all my like identification, so I couldn't get a phone, and he would take just like very much isolate me. And my parents knew what was going on to an extent, especially at that point, but for a long time, no one knew what was going on. I didn't talk about it. And so just getting to that point of like, okay, this enough is enough. I need to leave. Once I made that decision, so I basically had to pretend it was Mother's Day actually, that I was going to go to my parents for Mother's Day. He wasn't going to come, obviously. We were broken up, but he didn't want to like leave the house. And I went to I think it's called the Shediac. I should know this, but it's like a women's center in Shediac around here. They basically help, like they can help you. I had made an appointment with them. I did that day. I just pretended I was going to my parents. I took the kids. My parents took the kids. I went there. I spent the whole day there with a social worker. They got me an emergency intervention order, so it's like a restraining order, so that they would remove him from the home because he wasn't leaving otherwise. And so that was a whole day thing. And that evening, the cops went and removed him from the home. And then after that, I had to sell the house, and doing that he kept breaching the restraining order, walking around the house at night, coming onto my balcony, knocking on my door, stealing stuff. Like, my dad at one point was just slept over with the couch by the window so that I could sleep, because it had just been days of him. Like, it was scary. And like, there's a lot of times where I kept having to just report, and with a restraining order, obviously it's a piece of paper. But every single time he violated it, I just had to report it. And it got to a point where one day or night, it was like 2 a.m, he was in my yard again. So I'm on the phone with 911, and I see him stealing stuff from my car. I had just bought a new car because the car that we had was his. So my parents helped me get a card I needed something to be able to travel. Again, we were in a pretty rural area, so I didn't have really easy access to any stores or anything like that. And when he did leave, because I didn't even dare go outside when he was there, you could tell he was very, very intoxicated. So he took off. I was on the phone with 911. They said they would send an officer I knew he was staying at his sister's house at that point. They said they would send an officer there the next day to take a statement. I'm like, no, like, you need to, like, he has all my stuff. And then I went out, he had slashed my tires. He had keyed my car. He stole everything. He stole our children's car seats. He's like cut all the seat belts in the back. So even if I bought new car seats, I couldn't even put them in. So I was essentially stranded. And this brand new, like, new to me car. And so when I saw that, I called my parents. My parents went there to wait for the cops because they're like, no, we need someone here now. And he was throwing beer cans at their truck. So the cops thankfully did go and took a statement, and all my stuff was in his car, but they didn't have a warrant or anything. So it was just kind of my word against his. So it was a process leaving. There was a lot of roadblocks, but once he breached it so many times, the judge then orders a restraining order. And when it's ordered by a judge, it's kind of more serious if you breach it. And of course he did again, because he didn't think that rules applied to him. So he breached it again. And because he did, and that was the judge's order, they were able to then arrest him and put him in jail. So once he was in jail for a few months. And once he was there, then I was kind of able to have some breathing room. I was able to sell the house. Again, he was a hoarder, so like the room that he had downstairs, he had locks on it, so I couldn't go in it. We had to clear it out. It took me and my parents 5 days of trips every single day to bring all his stuff into a storage unit so that I could actually clean the house and like sell it. It was crazy. My parents helped a lot.
Wow.
But so that was kind of the biggest hurdle, just getting out of there. And I was able to kind of just find somewhere that was month to month. It was furnished with the kids until I was able to kind of find something a little bit more long-term. And then getting them into daycare is a whole other thing, because they weren't in daycare because I was staying home during the day. So there was a few months where I couldn't work. And then I finally got really lucky and got them into a good daycare. And then I had to find a job that was Monday to Friday, because there's no one to watch them on evenings or weekends, because I used to be a bartender. So that's kind of what my schedule was. So it was a really long process, but that initial just getting out of the house and making it so that I was safe and the kids were safe, that was kind of the big hurdle, but we did it. I don't know how, but we did it.
Oh, that's a lot. Like I had shivers just saying that. Like it's like you say I'm sure you like never felt safe for a while. And like you said, couldn't even
No.
sleep because you're always scared of if he's around and what he's gonna do. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
I
it
can't
wasn't a
even
good
imagine.
feeling.
No, well, I'm glad you got out of it.
Yeah, so
And talk to me a little bit about then, like the rebuilding and the refinding your confidence and your voice, and like a little bit of the process from that point to where you are now.
it was a long road, but
I'm
it
sure.
was, yeah. We, I'm not gonna lie, I was probably not in a very good place for the first year. Like I was kind of just surviving. I was
Yeah.
doing what I needed to do to be able to, get my kids, take care of them on a daily basis and work and all that stuff. Um, I then did meet another man who was the complete opposite that I thought of my ex, and he was in a lot of ways, but turned out to be very abusive in a different way. It was a lot of psychological abuse, and because he was very like my kid's dad never kept a job. He couldn't, like, he had a very big alcohol problem. He would leave for days on end, not come home, and we had the one car, so I'd be stranded. Like, he was very erratic, very aggressive, very loud, very all those things. And then so my second relationship, and I had also been with him since I was 18. That's all I knew. I hadn't really had another adult relationship other than that. We were together for like 6 years. And so after that, I, in my mind, was like, I need the opposite of that. So I found that someone who had a really good job and who treated me like I'd never really been treated nicely. So just to have someone treated me nicely, like it was, I shouldn't have been dating, I don't think, at that point. But at that point, it just felt nice to have someone be nice to me. And I know that now, and I don't regret it. It made me who I am now. But looking back, I shouldn't have been dating. But regardless, and again, like we ended off on all right terms. I'm not going to sit here. He's not like a bad person, but he has his own issues, and it was very controlling, and like he never like yelled at me, but the way he would speak to me would be to make me feel really
Yeah.
small. It was a very
Yeah.
different type. I was used to very like, I could tell that like, okay, I'm not the one that is the problem right here. Like this other person is being clearly irrational. But with the other one, he was smart. He had a really good job. I was in the process of rebuilding my life, and I felt like, oh, like I'm just so lucky that someone loves me, and like I'm so lucky that this man has chose me, considering everything, all the baggage that comes with me, that I'm like, oh, like thank you for just loving me. So like I felt like I overlooked a lot of things and a lot of red flags because I just wanted that. And so that was a learning lesson, that relationship, for sure. But really through that relationship, I realized, because it did give me some safety, like physical safety, where I wasn't so terrified in that way. So like it gave me some time to kind of get my nervous system a little bit calmer. But then it did get to a point with him where like I wasn't feeling, like I never felt settled. Like when he was gone, I felt better than when I was with him. Like, so I immediately knew like, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to spend 6, 7, 8 years with another person that I know it's not right. So I made a plan. I got out. And ever since then, like I've continuously kind of just gotten better jobs. I finally have a job now that I really like and that is really stable, and I'm really lucky to have gotten it, considering I don't necessarily have a formal education. So it's like the past like really year and a half have been really healing for me, and I feel like I've finally, like especially that I'm getting closer to 30, like my brain is fully developed, not like when I was 19, 18, not really understanding. Like, I know the type of life that I want now. I know what I want for myself. I know what I want for my kids. I know, like, who I want to be and what's important. Like, I know the things that aren't important. Like, I don't care about how things look to others or how other people perceive me. Like, I know that I've done everything I did to get us to this point. I know I'm a good person. I know that it's not my fault that these people didn't treat me nicely, and that, like, I'm worth actually having a good life. I deserve to have a good life, and so do my kids. And I feel like that mindset change of just not constantly having people tell you, like, because in those relationships, having someone just constantly tell you, like, you're not enough and you are lucky
Yeah.
that I love you because of this and that, and you have so much baggage. And I just always felt like, oh, like I just need to take any breadcrumb that I can take. Like now I know, like, no, I actually do deserve to a good relationship, a good life. My kids deserve a mom who's happy. They deserve to see what, like, and live in a house that is peaceful and see what healthy relationships look like. And that is all I want to give them. And I feel like I'm finally at a really good, stable place in my life. There's still obviously a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot of work that I still want to do on myself, but like I feel like the light is finally, like I can see it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a lot of women who have been in abusive relationships, we kind of hear that they then go for the opposite, complete opposite, like you said, but often is still abusive in a different way. So I'm really happy that like you were able to see that pretty quickly and kind of get out of that early. But it also seems like you said, like you don't regret it because it gave you enough stability to start feeling safer and probably start getting some of that confidence to realize, oh no, I don't deserve this, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And the confidence thing was a big thing. Like I had no confidence left
Yeah.
at all after that. So I feel like just building that confidence and just like knowing that I deserve more than this has been a big game changer, and not just thinking like, oh, this is what I deserve. This is what I deserve. It's like, no, no one deserves to be treated badly. You know?
Okay, I'm like, where do I want to go from here? My goodness, I feel like I haven't even looked at my questions, which
That's
is
okay.
which is like the best news because it means the conversation is just flowing. But I know there were some things I like actually
Yeah.
wanted to touch on. So you talked a little bit at the beginning about you being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult.
Yes.
And I kind of like to touch on that. So I don't have ADHD, but my husband does. And I know it's really different for men and women, but he also was diagnosed as an adult. And I remember when he got the diagnosis, we were both like, oh my goodness, like there were so many things that make a lot of sense
So much
now.
fun. Yeah.
So just talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how did it work for you to get the diagnosis? How does it feel different now? Like, does it help you understand yourself better? And especially as a woman, as a mother, just talk to me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely helps because when I was like, I mean, all the signs were there. And I even remember in fifth grade, I had a teacher because I was constantly, and it'd be more considered ADD, I guess. I'm not hyperactive, but now they kind of put it all under the same umbrella. A lot
Okay.
of girls tend to not be as hyperactive. Some are, but I wasn't. But I was
Yeah.
constantly daydreaming. I couldn't focus on schoolwork. I'm very like, what's the word? You look for like instant gratification. When if I don't see it, it doesn't exist type of thing. Like if I forget everything, I would my poor parents, my room constantly a disaster when I was a kid. And I don't even like I don't like being in chaos, but I would get so overwhelmed I would just shut down. And in
Yep.
school too, like I would do so well in the subjects that interested me. So like
Yes.
anything English, like I was such a big bookworm. I loved books. I constantly had my head in a book as a kid. And books, like English class, history class, like those, music, like all the arts, like that stuff,
Yep.
loved, did really well. Math, science, that stuff, like fat chance. If I was not interested, even if I tried, like I just I couldn't do it. Like I was like, no, like I could not. And I had a really hard time with that. And then my teacher in grade five, I actually remember being in high school and then pulling me out of my class and being like, oh, like your teacher had put on your report card or something like this or on your file that you have ADD. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never been diagnosed with that. Like I didn't know what they were talking about. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we're giving you the option when you do your testing and like tests and stuff in school, you can go into a different room because it's quieter and you're not as distracted. I didn't even put two and two together. Like I just knew that I went to a different room and did my tests in high school. I wasn't formally diagnosed or anything, but I guess the teacher had suspicions, which I didn't know about until then. So as an adult, when I realized that, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But I kind of just white knuckled it, and I was able to kind of cope. And like ended up being a server, which was really good for my ADHD because I'm really good under pressure. Like I put everything off until the absolute last minute. Any project in school, never would I do it in advance. Like I was waiting till the day of, and I would do so well though, because like I work best. There needs to be external pressure, and so that's a big ADHD thing that I did not realize. But then, so serving was great because you get so busy and you're just go, go, go. And like, it's almost like a game, right? Like you're kind of like, it's always different. So like, I was able to kind of manage. My job was, I was having a good time and like, it was good for my ADHD. But then when I had kids, I was like, okay, like I've always had like sensory issues with a lot of food, a lot of noise. Like I get very overstimulated, and it would come out as frustration as a kid. My mom always said like, oh, you're reactive. But I'm not. Like I am reactive in certain ways, but only when I would get overstimulated. I just didn't realize that's what was happening. But like with a lot of sensory, so like if the big lights, I don't like the big lights. I don't do big lights. The big lights, or like certain textures, I could not stand touching. Certain food textures, couldn't do it. And like it would literally cause me to, if it was too loud, like being in crowded places like the mall and grocery stores and stuff, would cause me to kind of like have a lot of anxiety. And I've always been a very anxious kid, and my brain constantly going. It just like, it never stopped. Like my brain, it's like there's 1,000 tabs open at all time, and it's constantly just going back and forth between all of them. So when I did have kids, and having that constant sensory like overload, because you have someone constantly glued to you, and they always need something, and you're not sleeping because you're getting up with the baby at night. So lack of sleep mixed with all the sensory things that are happening, I was like, okay, like I thought I was depressed, but like the depression stemmed from the ADHD and not having that be, dealt with. So I got in touch with my family doctor and said like, I think this is what's happening. And we kind of had our discussions and stuff, and she put me on medication. I started that, and it did help a lot. So it was good. There was a lot of obviously other chaos that was happening, so I wasn't at my, peak, mental wellness or anything, but like it did help. But then in the past like few years, I had some heart issues with the medication. Like my heart was just like going crazy on them, so I had to get off of them. So I was unmedicated for a bit, and so that was like, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can definitely tell there's a huge difference between being medicated and unmedicated. Like how much you don't realize, like starting a task is always so difficult for me. Once I'm doing it, I'm fine. Starting it, like I would put it off, and again, till I had pressure, so I would put everything off. And when you have the medication, it's almost like that it takes away that you can just do it. I'm like, oh, I can just do a task. Crazy to me that I could just start doing something. I was like, okay, there's maybe something to this then. Maybe this is actually the problem. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm chuckling at some of the things you say because like it's my husband, like exactly. Like, and like we're so different. Like a lot of the things that he'll do, kind of like you said, like I'm the complete opposite. And for the longest time, like before he was diagnosed and we really knew what it was like, why can't you just get this done? Like, why can't you get started ahead of time so we're not late? Or like it was like it made no sense to me.
I
And
know.
now, like, it still drives me crazy a little bit, but at least I'm like, okay, it's not your fault. This is, you know what I mean? Like, it's,
Well, yeah, when you have an understanding of it, it's so frustrating.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
I know, like, I try so hard to be on time. I don't want to be the reason for other people being late or anything like that.
yeah,
Time blindness is a thing, though. It really is.
yeah,
But an understanding of it does help, where you can have a little
it
bit
really
of,
does.
yeah, like that he's not like intentionally,
Yeah,
trying to sabotage or like make things
exactly.
irritate you. And like a lot of the times we are so hard on ourselves for it, because I hate that
Yeah,
I can't just start something. I hate it so
yeah,
much. I hate that like everything feels harder. I'm like, why can't I just do it? Like, why can't I just do it? And the shame makes it worse. And so when you have an
yes,
understanding, like when I realize, okay, like I'm not just like incapable. I actually do have
Yes,
this
exactly.
thing that is making it difficult, and now that I know it and now I have the
Yeah,
information, I can actually try to work with my brain instead of against it
exactly.
to try to make things easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Working with
And
your
like
brain.
that is, yeah, it makes the biggest difference when you actually understand it because, and like you said, like I think a lot of misconceptions are that like you can't start, you can't get anything done. And I know for my husband, like he's the smartest person I know. So like it has nothing to do with that, right? But
Not at
it's
all.
understanding how your brain works and working with it, not against it.
Exactly. And a lot of people that are neurodivergent in any way, like they're so smart and like but it's like it has to be a lot of the things that they're interested in, you know? It's like I
Yeah.
will hyper focus. I have 1,000 hobbies that I've started. I like to collect hobbies. I don't like to really go through with anything of them, but I love to collect them. I'm like, I want to try this, I want to try this. And like I will hyper fixate and get really good at it and then never touch it again. And it's like,
Yeah.
but we get like it's a different kind of intelligence, you know. It's like I didn't do really well in traditional school. I tried university for like a
Yeah.
month, and like it just doesn't work with my brain. Like it doesn't work like that. My brain doesn't work like that. So doing things like serving and like stuff like that,
Yeah.
where like it would worked better for me than like traditional type of jobs or schooling
Absolutely.
and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I could talk to you for like all day, and there's like 10,000 more subjects that I wanted to touch. But
I'll do part two.
um, I mean, well, we're going to have to, like two and three and four. But the last kind of subject I want to touch on a little bit before we wrap up is dating and trusting after trauma. So like, are you dating now? How has that been? Are you just like, yeah, no, we're not going there, or or how has
No.
that been to like retrust yourself and others, I guess probably,
Yeah,
after everything that you've been through.
for sure. That's been a big one. Trusting my decisions has not been easy.
Yes.
Because I'm like, for me, like the only evidence I have is all the failed relationships or the bad
Yeah.
situations that I've been in. So I'm like, I don't know how to make a good decision clearly because like evidence shows. But again, I am finally in therapy and my therapist has told me it's like, you were making the decision that you could with the information that you were presented.
Yeah.
You know, I was presented information, I made a decision based off of that. And again, I don't regret any of it. It got me to the place that I am, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm a better person for it, and I feel like I know what I want now, so that's good. And I am dating. I have a wonderful, wonderful boyfriend, finally,
Good.
who treats me wonderfully. He's great with my kids. He has kids as well. My nervous system has never felt calmer around
Oh,
anyone. Like, there's no fighting, there's no, like, it's wild being with someone and actually just like enjoying their company. Where I'm like, all my
yeah.
other relationships have been very like imbalanced power wise. And like, and this is actually like a give and take. Like, I feel like I am with someone who actually likes me and, you know,
Mm,
likes me for who I am and doesn't just want me to change or for an idea of me or all those things. But I definitely like when we did start seeing each other, like for a while, it took me a few months to really like when we would see each other, when I would leave, he doesn't really know this, but like I would start crying and like be depressed. And it's not even because of him. Like we had such an amazing, wonderful time. And then I would go home and just be so like dysregulated. And it's because I think
yeah.
I was just so not used to feeling good. Like you can only accept as much good as you have capacity for. So I never trusted it. Like I don't trust people treating me nicely. Like my ex before that, I'm like, okay, you're treating me nicely, but then it's to like, you know, gain power over me or to do this or to do that. So it's
Yes.
just like I questioned my decision of not him because he was wonderful, but I questioned myself a lot. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
am I making like a right decision? Should I even be dating? Like I should be focusing on my kids, and which is obviously what I should be doing and what I do, but I'm like, I feel like I have the right to be happy too, and I want them to see me happy, and I want them to see like a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And I was very much like, I vetted him, like his family, like, but he introduced, like, his family is wonderful. His, like, everyone that I've met that knows him, like, has only had good things to say about him. And like our grandmothers worked together when, like, we didn't know each other at all. Like, we met literally on a dating app. And like our grandmas actually worked together. My grandma worked with his aunt. Like my
Right.
family knew of his family. So I felt
That
familiar
says
in
a
that way. So it
lot.
wasn't scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it helped. And then like my parents too. I'm like, I'm at the point because my parents are very much like again, I love them so much, and they give me a lot of grace, but they're like kind of like, we knew you would come, which is true. They're like, with my exes, they're like, knew you would see it at some point. We knew if we said something, you probably would have told us off, and like we didn't want to lose you
Yes.
either, which I probably
Yeah.
would have at that point. So like I completely understand why they did that. But I'm like, at this point, I was like, okay, I need you guys to be so honest with me. Like, if there is red flags, like, don't not say it because you don't want to hurt my feelings, or like, I need to know. So like everyone, like, no, everyone's like, no, like, he's, for the first time, I'm with someone who's not a narcissist and who doesn't just care about himself. And to have someone actually, like, even across the room, like, I know he knows if I'm feeling anxious or whatever, like, he actually cares. And like, he cares how his actions affect me, and just that, really, like, that level of like, I respect you and I care about you and I care how the things I do make you feel. Like, I've never had that. So it's been really good, but it's definitely been, I've had a lot of moments of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decision? Like, like, what if this doesn't go right? But again, what if it does though? And it's like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I just had to get over that whole hurdle. And I think it takes time. Like, the longer we've been together, the more proof that I have that it's not just, pretending to be a good person and like it's gonna go bad. And it's been just consistency. And he's like shown up in a lot of just small ways of like, okay, like, if I'm upset, like, you're not gonna just like go off at me. You're not gonna yell at me for something that like, because again, I have ADHD, and I there's sometimes that I would kind of anxiety spiral, and a lot of my exes would make me feel really bad about myself about that, and like, you should just like get over it, and like, you're being like ridiculous, and I know when I'm in a spiral that like, hey, I'm probably fine. I'm just kind of like, I just need a minute to be able to kind of take myself out of it,
Yeah.
which I've gotten a lot better at. But it's nice to just have someone not make me feel bad about it and be like, hey, like, you're okay. Like, everything is okay. And just like, he makes me feel calm. Like, there's no anxiety. So it's been really healing. And I think it's helped me a lot be able to work
Yes.
on myself. To have someone just love you, even if you have flaws, because everyone does, and not feel like my flaws make me a bad person, has then let me like actually, like, I feel like I'm worthy now. And it's sad that it took that. Like, I wish, and I have come to that on my own to some degree, but to really have someone just love you, even though you're not perfect, really does help be like, okay, like, I did not deserve to be treated that way. Like, I have flaws, but that doesn't mean that I was deserving of not being treated right, you know?
Oh, that makes me so happy. I've had shivers this whole time. I feel like we went on like your whole journey,
Yeah,
and we're ending on a positive note,
yeah, it's
which
a
is
really
so
positive
good.
note, for sure.
Yes, yes. Last question that I ask to all of my guests. What is your superpower?
My superpower. My superpower, I think, is just my ability to bounce back. I think I've had a lot of setbacks, a lot of things not go how I thought they would. I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, it's gonna get better after
Yeah.
this, and another thing happens, and the rug gets pulled out. But just the ability to be like, to have that knowing that everything happens as it should, and the timing that it should, and trusting that everything will work out. Like, I just try to cling to that. And I think that's my superpower, the ability to just cling to the fact that I know everything is working out for me, because I'm just making all the decisions that I need to, that feel right for me. And I know that at some point, like, everything will work out. Everything will be as it should.
I love that. Before we wrap up, if anyone wants to connect with you, find you online, where can they find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm at Earthbound Enchantress, and on TikTok, I'm Denika Madeline, and I think that's about it. Yeah, Instagram and TikTok. That's about
And
it.
we'll put that in the show notes so people can go find you if they want to.
Awesome.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. This was an incredible conversation. Thank you for being so vulnerable and willing to share your story and all of your wisdom with all of us. I know that this conversation is going to resonate with so many women. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the chance to kind of tell my story. I really appreciate it. It's been
It was
really,
my
really
pleasure.
cool.
That was my pleasure. And I want to thank you, our audience, our listeners, our watchers, for spending this time with us. And I remind you, like every time, to keep choosing yourself, your vision, and your values. That is real power. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning into the Empower Elle podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you and gave you practical insights to help you navigate your journey as an ambitious, high-achieving woman. Remember, every step you take towards building your confidence and embracing your full potential is a step closer to creating the life you truly desire. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps us reach more women who are ready to step into their power and live their best lives. Don't forget to join our community on social media for more resources, tips, and inspiration. Until next time, lead with power and live with wellness. You are unstoppable.